Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome into Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. I'm your host, John Neighbors, alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis, and appreciate each and every one of you for making us a part of your afternoon this afternoon. Hope everybody had a wonderful Thursday so far. We're going to have plenty of things to discuss today. We're going to not only talk about a little bit of the SEC, get into some what's more likely, according to Bet Saracen, do a little what to watch with Bryant Technologies, and of course, get to your chats and your phone calls. You can call in at 478-344-6623 to get in on the conversation. But fellas, it was a long night. I know for you, especially Curtis, sending text messages at 1:20 in the morning. Come on now, man.
Not bad.
But hey, listen, after a win that hasn't happened very often, especially in the SEC, considering it's the first, how are we feeling on a Thursday right now?
I'm feeling good. Sorry to have interrupted your bedtime, John. It will never happen again. No, man, feeling good. Needed that. It's cool to stay up late and talk about all this stuff in a winning effort. So that was nice, and a big shout out to Sam Pittman, the Razorback Whisperer, for the most important assist of the night, picking John Calipari up. He drug Cal across the finish line as he drug his team across the finish line, and for that I am grateful.
Yeah, really awesome to hear, Sam Pittman. I would pay a ridiculous amount of money to like wiretap and hear that phone call and just hear what it sounded like, what the interaction was like between those two guys. But we're always a sucker for the coach-to-coach communication. Anytime we get the coaches interacting, we love it. And, of course, it's just awesome stuff. I'm also kind of buzzing. You know, last week Arkansas played on Tuesday and had a really devastating loss. And we were like, man, how are we going to get through this week? Now they have a cool win on a Wednesday night in the middle of the night. And it's like they're playing on Saturday. It's like we don't even have time to enjoy the win because you got to get right back on the horse. And another must-win game coming on Saturday. But this feels good for sure.
Yeah, it really does. Andrew, I was hoping that you would. In fact, I'm just going to ask you, what did Sam say to Cal on the phone? I need that impersonation. What did he say?
Well, John, you know, I know they're being mean to you on Twitter. They're mean to me too. They called me fat a few times. I seen them. They say the stuff. They said the Polar Express, but you gotta get those boys pushing in the right direction. You keep fighting, man. Keep fighting. That's all you can do. Just keep going to work, doing what you got to do, and you know, you'll take care of your team and get a good win tonight. Can't wait to see you, bud.
Beautiful. I don't know how, like, you just need to do that every single time and they win. I mean, that's you win no matter what when you get that type of speech. But yeah, that was pretty funny hearing that. And of course, I know you guys talked about the fought at the Palace last night too in the post game, but that we played it just then. And that last answer that Cal gave, that was like 3.5 minutes long in the press conference last night. Just quintessential, just perfect, classic Cal of going through a lot of things. It was a mixture of, you know, throwing some apologies and acknowledging the fans, but then also saying that, you know, I've won 30 games in a row a couple of times. It was like a little bit of a flex, and then, you know, talk about how happy he is to be here and everything. And so dragging across the finish line. I know you referred to that a lot, Curtis. So just a lot going on with Cal. But here's the thing. It's like you got to win. And I know we're going to discuss as far as like, oh, is this going to do something? Is this going to spark something? We'll get to that and have some fun with that. But it's amazing how a win, as gross as it may have been, as terrible of a game as it may have been with 49 fouls, all of that, hey, a win's a win. And seeing the energy from Razorback fans last night, and hopefully it'll be even better against Oklahoma on Saturday. It's just nice to win one, as Kevin Malone would say from The Office. It's just nice to win one. Nice to get that off your back. None of that pressure of, oh, could this team go 0-18? No, you got to win. So now try to make the most of it. Try to build upon it and try to get a win against Oklahoma on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to start somewhere. And that is important, believe it or not. And Cal even said as much, like, it's kind of nice to get the monkey off their back there with this over thing. Because it was looming large, and honestly, had they made it through this week without getting one, it would have really been looming large, and that pressure is real, man. So it was a good win, and it was the type of win. Sometimes you win games and you don't feel great about it. You never apologize for it. Sometimes, you know, like Arkansas has lost games in SEC play here, and I've been frustrated because I'm like, man, they didn't freaking deserve to win, and that's what frustrates me about it. Like, they're not playing winning basketball. Not sure about the effort. Like, are they even playing with confidence? What's going on here? winning ugly can be beautiful. And that was kind of the theme of the report card this morning. And that's what I thought this was, man, because they did it with winning the effort stats and like the intensity that they had throughout the course of the second half. That's something we haven't seen so much from this team. They wanted it more than Georgia. And I don't know how many times we've watched them in SEC play and thought, yeah, they want it just as much or more than the other team. That's not always going to equal a victory, but it did in this game. And that's the type of stuff that can, John, are you okay? That can help.
Kept sneezing, kept having sneezing attacks. My bad.
Well, anyway, that's the type of stuff that fans like.
Oh shoot!
I didn't need I had to get out of the camera because all I needed is just, even if it was muted, my face, because no one looks good when they sneeze. So it's like I had to get out of there.
You were going side to side is what screwed me. You were like bobbing and weaving, but specifically from the Cal angle when thinking about this, and he touched on, that's kind of what his whole soliloquy was about last night. Is he's not a stranger to being scrutinized, to being a polarizing figure. We talk about that all the time. Everyone kind of pays attention to his every move. And so we've had people throwing shots at Cal. I'm sure he's read mean tweets, all his career. He's used to this kind of coverage. But this is a little bit different, especially that it's at a new place. And it's a place, like we've said, he doesn't have this kind of built-in, goodwill with the fan base. And so, and with just everyone in the state. And so, I think this is definitely a unique experience. You see all these people, I saw like the Gilbert Arenas podcast, all these random people that are like, is Coach Cal going to get fired? Is Coach Cal done? And like, you got his Kentucky players like Willie Cauley-Stein and whoever going out and saying stuff about him. Like, this is definitely not uncharted territory in terms of him being public enemy number one, but this definitely felt a little bit different. And we touched on that a lot about, this unnecessary, we felt like it was hatred coming from whether it was BBN or Jeff Goodman or even Hog fans that like really seem to take it personally with Cal. And we can definitely question whether or not he's really all in as a Razorback, although he did wear the red blazer, which is very good. And these are the kind of the conversations that we had, but you could tell it was definitely weighing on him. The lack of success. He didn't plan on it. He didn't plan on starting 0-5 in the SEC. I don't think he expected to. I don't think the team did. And I think it definitely forced him to kind of look inward and reevaluate. And if nothing else, you could see some of these players on the team, how much it meant to them. And I think it really was just cool to see that, because we had been wondering, we were like, does this team care? Do they have that desperation to them where they're going to scratch and claw and fight for everything they get? Last night, they definitely did that. Will it spark their season? We can continue to have that conversation, but I think it was definitely a very good starting point that we've been asking for weeks. We thought that was going to come in the LSU game. You can't go on a run if you don't win that first one, and we felt like the first one was going to be ugly. And so now we'll see if this team kind of has a renewed sense of energy and maybe some life to them now that they've escaped death.
Yeah, that was the whole thing, is about how you're going to come out, how you're going to respond. And I think it was Adutiero in the press conference last night that mentioned it a couple of times of like, we heard was we're soft and everything. And there's a sense of pride. And that's what it really came back to, is like, do you have the pride to where you're getting hit from every side about not only just, it's one thing to lose or to struggle, because every team does that in every sport. But you were an embarrassment. I mean, you were being embarrassed because you were getting blown out by even not just good teams, but teams that were pretty meh. Like Missouri, it's not to say that they're a bad basketball team, but they're not a team that should beat you by 20 plus points. It's just not something that should happen. And so between that and, Cal, who's had all of this success across the board, for him to kind of deal with it, like, oh, it's not just saying, hey, it's a bad year or whatever. It's like, no, you're an embarrassment. Ha ha ha. You're cooked. You're over the hill. You're a joke. Your coaching inabilities are shining. We've been trying to tell you for all this stuff. At some point in time, it's going to weigh on you. And I don't care what anybody says about, oh, well, I don't read this stuff on Twitter. It's like, Cal, come on now. Like, players, come on now. I mean, you're going to hear about it. And so for them to kind of come back and have that kind of response was a good thing to see for once. Just to kind of have that. And
yeah, it was good to see.
Yeah, like for once, because I'll be honest, when me and Curtis, we went to the game and we left a little early because we had to get set up for pot at the Palace. But as soon as I got in Curtis's car, I said, this is going to hurt so bad, because like there was like 5 minutes left in the game. I'm like, this one's going to suck. This one's going to sting, because I felt like, I'm sure like a lot of fans, okay, this is nice, hey, fighting back and everything. But they're going to find a way to lose. They're going to find a way to blow it. but they didn't for once, and it was just it was a pleasant surprise. So it was nice to see. It was just nice to see, nice to feel, and forget all you Kentucky fans are like, oh, Cal won a second national championship. Hey, shut up. A win's a win. Leave us alone, okay?
Celebrate a win over Georgia. Kentucky wouldn't know how that feels this year, you know. So that's it's just kind of, I get it. Like you don't understand. No, in all seriousness, buddy, they needed that. And obviously we were joking about like storm the floor if you win, but they deserve that kind of celebration. And you saw the I can't believe I'm using this word, joy, on their faces in the celebration afterwards. So for all those, folks who think they don't care and they're cashing their checks or whatever, they do care. They absolutely do. Sometimes when the struggles and the negativity just keeps piling up and piling up and piling up, kind of like you were alluding to, that stuff weighs on you, man. It really does. And yeah, it was hard to believe that Arkansas was going to get it done until they actually did, because I mean, Cal said himself time after time, and we've all watched this basketball team. They've been in position to do exactly this over and over in SEC play, with the exception of the Missouri and Tennessee games, and they just didn't do it. Like, they didn't play winning basketball on these important stretches. So, they did in this game, and it was good to see.
Well, something else I was thinking about last night, and we'll get to your phone calls, folks, and your chats, and we'll play a couple of videos too, but maybe I overanalyze this, but if you think about these particular players on Arkansas's roster, like, none of these guys have sucked, like, on a team that sucks. Like, Jonas Adu was on Tennessee. They never sucked. Mm-hmm. These Kentucky players that transferred in, they lost in the first round of the NCAA tournament, but it wasn't a bad basketball team. Nellie Davis at FAU, they went to the Final Four. They weren't a bad basketball team. And that's something I'm sure, and even the high school kids, or the freshman kids, they were on high school teams. Their teams were not bad because they were on those teams, and they were always really good. I think that's some maybe that gets overlooked a little bit, where none of these guys had gone through this before. They didn't know what it was like to be this bad on this bad of a team. And sometimes you're just like, how do you handle it? How do you bounce back from it? So maybe that's something also that was them trying to battle through, where even the older guys, younger guys, didn't matter. They'd never been on a team that struggled like this, and it's a little tougher to respond, perhaps. But
so you're saying Cal didn't actually have to teach them how to win? That was not last night. Was not them learning how to win. They already knew how.
They knew how. They just forgot. How to be. He had
to reteach them. But no, and look, I don't want to like get carried away and like make believe, like, and I don't think any of us are, that like this Razorback team has like figured it out, and like they're just it's a great turnaround about to happen, and now they know how to win, and they're about to just go on this crazy run. There's still a lot for this team to figure out. There's still a lot for this team to prove, a lot tougher tests coming that they're going to have to face. And we look forward to watching and seeing how they do. But I definitely do think there's something too, kind of what all of you have been saying, is like, when you have all that negativity, it should create and breed a little bit of a us against the world mentality. And then I do think there's definitely some good value in coming up big in a game like this, finding a way to get it done. You kind of learn how to do it together as a team. And I think that, there's nothing negative that can come out of that. Obviously there's still things you got to clean up. You can't have your guards go 5 of 26 or whatever. But that has to be a nice little confidence boost. And when you're in that bunker, when you're in that foxhole together, you kind of learn some stuff about one another, going to battle with your teammates. And I think also for this fan base, being in that situation where, I don't know what the final attendance actual was at Bud Walton Arena last night, but for those fans that were there and that were kind of in that foxhole with that team and helping will them to that victory, it kind of builds that connection that we've been talking about that's been lost, that identity with the team on the court, but also that connection with the fan base. Nights like last night can do a lot towards actually making this fan base get behind the team, have some emotional investment. Because I think that's the biggest thing, is you got Cal, who is this celebrity who it doesn't, it's hard to have that personal connection with Cal for us and definitely for the fan base. And I also think for this team full of Cal's guys, full of newcomers, full of first-year guys, full of transfers, it's really hard for the fan base to really feel connected. But I feel like nights like last night are really can help build that relationship in a big way. And we haven't had a game like that. The Michigan game, I would say, classifies as that, where you're in Madison Square Garden, you're on this big stage, and you find a way to win. But since then, so much turmoil has taken place. I think that relationship was definitely severed. And so I think this is definitely a positive step for this Razorback fan base and this program. And we'll see if they can harness it. And then you get an easier test on Saturday. I think this is a good time for the fan base to really lock in and see what this team is going to end up becoming.
Yeah, we'll get to the chat. I did want to throw one thing out, though, because Andrew, we weren't sitting by each other, but we were kind of close in proximity. So I don't know if you heard this, but last night when Arkansas was down by 15, 16 points early in the second half, I'm going to try to do the impersonation of this person. I have no idea who this person was, but he was right behind the bench about 5-6 rows, I'd say. But when Arkansas was struggling, Cal takes a timeout, and all he says is yelling at them, being like, why aren't y'all playing better? Come on, y'all ass. Why can't y'all play better? This is not the team I was hoping for, y'all ass. That's what he said. And Jonas Adu heard it and looked back and smiled. And I'm just going to throw it out there. When that point happened, everything took off. So whoever had the high-pitched voice behind me that was yelling about them and calling them, quote, ass, you might have been the spark that was needed. Maybe so.
I thought it would have sparked him individually, but
yeah. I heard that, John, and I couldn't make out any of what they were saying. I thought it was a woman. I'm being dead serious. Like I wasn't like not like throwing a shot. Like because Hillary like turned and she was like, "What did he say?" And I'm like, "Or what did they say?" I'm like, I don't know, but I could kind of hear it faintly. So nice to know that it was a positive message that hit home with the team.
Yep, just drop those lines. Sam Pittman doing a phone call and that high-pitched voice of saying those things gets you a win every single time.
You know, Cal apologized to his wife for putting her through this, apologized to Hunter Yurachek, apologized to the fans. Do you think John Tyson was included with the fans? Like, you think he apologized to him too?
1,000%.
I think he probably did. Yeah.
I think he probably gave him some money back. I think. Just like, man, I'm sorry.
It's like,
for that.
I get it. Stick with me. Just, trust me. Dude. Loan me. I'll make it worth your investment eventually.
Dude, seeing last night, because again, when you're down there, you get to see it a little bit more. But as soon as the introductions happen, you know, all the hype and the music and stuff, and like as soon as Cal gets introduced, the lights come on, and Cal's walking out, and John Tyson's there across the court in Gucci Row, and it was just the most bro thing ever. Where Cal just looks at him and goes. And then John Tyson looks back and goes, I'm like, come on. It's like, I get it, man. Y'all are bros. But I was like, your check's over there on Gucci Row too. And he ain't pointing over at your check. You know, he ain't pointing at anybody else. Like, hey, yeah, money. Yes, I like that. You're my money guy. So we'll get to the chat. Dude, once again, Logan, awesome, man. Thank you so much for the super chat, my man. Always appreciate you and your support and everything that you give us. But that's big time, man. We need to have like some sort of like chime or a noise that gets made anytime Logan donates. You know, like some, whether it's the very beginning of the John Cena, something like that. I don't know, but we appreciate. He says, has everyone ordered their national championship shirts yet?
We're going to now, thanks to you.
Yep, yeah. That's where the money's going.
We did this right now.
Yep, gonna get those national champions over Georgia.
Speaking of late night or early morning messages, Logan was buzzing last night. He hit me up. It was like 12:30. He was like, man, I'm wide awake. I didn't think that would be the case after a home win over Georgia basketball, but here we are. And I feeling that was good. And I was thinking, I was like, what the hell did I text you guys at 1:30 in the morning? And this was me where I was like, you know, if Arkansas wins on Saturday and all the other games go according to chalk, the Razorbacks will have climbed to 11th place in the SEC standings.
I just want the record to show you sent me a text a little bit later than that. I think it was probably like 1:40 or something like that. But I was still up. I was still buzzing. But that's what happened. Like, by the way, the game ended at like 10:50. Like it was a late game.
That was crazy.
It was damn near 3 hours. Like you just don't see that much. That's unacceptable for an 8 p.m. tip, honestly.
49 fouls is what'll do that every time. Just gross. But yeah, we really appreciate you, Logan, each and every time. Also, Anders, appreciate it, Anders. He said, I guess talking about the fan, he's like, he was right behind me. It was a yell of desperation. Yeah. I laughed about it too, because there was I hate to be this guy. There was a girl she was a young girl right behind me, and she just hated number 6, I think is who it was for Georgia. Don't remember the player's name. But Cyril, I think.
Cyril, yeah.
Yeah. Whatever it was, she just hated him. And she was yelling at him the entire time. She's like, shut your mouth. Stop your yapping. Stop your yapping. I was like, man, I think he's chewing gum. I don't think he's actually yapping. So, but anyways, but yeah. And also Anders says, it was an incredible game to be at. Finally saw some grip. The vibes in Bud Walton were awesome. They were.
Are we going with Anders on that name?
I think it's Andres.
Is it? I thought it was Anders. I thought we talked about this before.
I think we probably did, but I think it's Andre.
Everybody's got the hey folks, start putting your pronunciation of your names into the chat
with
please.
your super chat, with your donation. Put in parentheses the pronunciation.
I love that Chin Coleman comes to these pregame press conferences, and he's always just, sometimes it's a little bit of a yap fest. And I actually like Chin, and he continues to be the pregame warmups hype man with the team huddle. And he had him going last night more so than usual. That was cool. But he always does this thing where he's like, shoot, we're going to rebound 40% of our misses. And then they don't, or they shoot 33s a game. We're cutting their attempts in half. What are you talking about? And then they don't. And then the other day he was like, listen, this is about grit. The word of the day is grit. This game is all about grit. Finally, they did what he said they were going to do. And he's 100% right. That's exactly what that performance was. And Bud Walton appreciated it, man. In the second half, I feel like they sleptwalked in the first. In the second half, they did the mini run, and you could feel like Bud was, they were trying. It's what we talked about in the past. We're like, there's just something about that building where you can feel it coming. It's like organic. It's like a low roar, and it's just waiting for the roof to kind of blow off. Then they got back down by 15 right away, and you're like, oh, well, almost, but it didn't happen. But they weren't having it, man. Like the crowd, I thought, really, really affected things. And the team fed off of it. They started full court pressing. It was cool. It was vintage Bud. It was nice.
Yeah, I wonder what those conversations were like at halftime. Because like you said, the first half, you just didn't like all the cool moments, all the fight, all the grit and the tenacity that we've talked about. Almost all of it was in the second half. And I didn't think they like played horrible basketball necessarily. I mean, shooting wise, they definitely did. But like you said, it was just kind of like a sleepwalking thing where you didn't see that desperation. And so I don't know who got up and spoke at halftime or who kind of let these guys know, hey guys, we really can't afford to lose this game. Like this is kind of it. But whatever was said, whatever was conveyed, or maybe it was just that screaming fan that really got them going. There definitely was a completely different sense of energy in the second half. And so I'd love to, I mean, I'm sure Cal's spoken about it, but like, I'd love to hear like really, if there was a player that said something, if it was just Chin Coleman who came in there or whatever, but it was it definitely worked, whatever it was.
Also, again, we'll get to your phone calls, chat, but we appreciate it. I'm going to go Anders. I'm just going to call you. Is it Lazarte? Man, you got a name. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah, he says, I was second row and the fans needed this. It was so intense. I was hugging strangers. Yeah, no. And that's what it does. It's like just the feeling of winning, regardless of who it is, regardless of it. You take it for granted when it hadn't happened for a long time. So once it does happen, it really gets you back on track.
I didn't get to hug a stranger, man. I didn't get to hug a stranger.
Did you hug Danny G on your way out?
I wanted to. I don't know if he's a hugger though. He might have slapped me if I tried to hug Daniel Shee. I'm a little salty though, Like I just felt like I was grinding away up there. I had to dip the quill in ink so I could be up there in press row, and you guys are just Gucci'd out. Nice seats, right behind the bench and everything. It's like what's going on here?
It's not our fault, Curtis, that they make the media watch the game from the damn rafters. Like, it's insane. Every time I go to a game in Bud Walton, not in the media section, I look up at the media section. I'm like, good Lord, they got him in the upper deck. They got him in the 500 section. I mean, geez.
People are like, oh, we got to move the student section. Screw them. Move us.
Yeah.
Talking about.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this. Let's just be very clear. The seats that we had was for an 0-5 team in the SEC. If that team was 5-0, no, we would not be getting those seats like at all. Those seats would not be made available to us. But yeah, and again, you can blame me for the media seating. I was a student, and we signed a petition and signed a thing into law to move the media out of there so we could expand the student section into that area. So sorry.
Who do you think you are?
I know. I remember Nate Allen.
You think
Nate Allen put out, it wasn't a tweet because he wasn't on Twitter, but it was in one of his articles, and he just ripped the student section. It ripped the students at the U of A for that, and I was so proud. I was like, "Gotcha, Nate. Get up there in the stands." Now it's like in the media. I'm like, "Dang it, this sucks."
Is this reseating thing? Like, are they going to be mixing that stuff up, or is it just like redoing your the season ticket deals, or do we know what that's going to look like?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to reseat it completely and going to move the student section.
Okay.
My guess would be the student section gets moved behind the goals. That's my guess. But the student section spot is terrible as it is. But like those seats, I sat in last night. My buddy Forrest, shout out to him. His family's had those seats for 50 years, and next year they won't because of this new thing that we talked about yesterday, the $40,000 deal. They're like, you have to donate if you want to keep those seats that much. And they're like, no, we ain't doing that. So
yeah,
that's the unfortunate part of it.
Probably not. Heartbroken Hog, to answer your question, because I'd have to pay for it. And, unless somebody gives us a free ticket.
Yeah. And also in there too, yeah, you can't, as Andrew said, as a fan, you can't bring in your laptop, you can't bring in your stuff like that. Shout out to JP Sullivan. Get a lot of super chats. We really appreciate it, folks.
Yeah, very cool.
Says Woo Damn Pig feels better. Sure feels better at work today. I'm strutting around like a turkey. Gobble gobble, baby. Thanks, guys. All right,
let's go.
Do turkeys strut? I thought that was like a peacock that would strut.
They definitely have a little bit of a, like the neck moving a little bit. They got a little bit of that going on.
Okay. Well, JP, if that's the way you're walking around the office, man, if I worked with you, I'd be like, okay, we need to call HR.
That's a good.
You need to get somebody in here. That's the way you're walking around. But I'm glad you're excited. Also, a Stripiest Wig, he says, Andrew, my son just confused you with Jimmy Norp of the Pro Wiffle Baller. What?
Yes, Jimmy Norp. I'm familiar with his work. Totally. Yeah, I'll take that as a compliment. It's actually crazy, the list of people that people say I look like. It's growing by the day.
It's because they see, no offense, they see a white guy with long hair and facial hair. They're like, oh, Andrew Ellis. Like, it's just because it's the hair. It's if somebody sees like the long hair. Because what was it that somebody told me that you looked like? Was it Stanek?
Yeah, maybe? Ryan Stanek.
Yeah, Ryan Stanek. And I just looked at it, I was like, well, I guess they both do have long hair and facial hair. So,
Well, and also I throw a 93-mile-an-hour splitter. I think that's probably the reason why I get the Stanek comp.
It's the main reason. Yeah, it's the main reason for it.
You give off Sunday starter vibes.
Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and jump into a few calls here real quick because, again, we got a lot of things to get to, but appreciate it. Let's see. Wyatt is in Bentonville, I believe. What's up, Wyatt?
What's up, guys? This isn't really a question. It's just more of a topic of debate. So I know we got the literal victory, but I also feel like we got a little moral victory because a lot of us Arkansas fans felt like we might have had the worst X's and no coach. But watching us run floppy over and over and over again and them not adjusting at all, I don't think we have the worst coach anymore. Just wanted to see what you guys felt about that. Also, I have seen Andrew throw that 93-mile-per-hour splitter. It is true.
Appreciate it, Wyatt. Thanks.
But no, hey, I'm glad you're on the same page, Wyatt. Because Mike White, I've been a Mike White hater for a while, and secretly it's because I was a Louisiana Tech Bulldog, and I couldn't believe he left Louisiana Tech to go to Florida. What a shameful decision. But you know how it is when your ex leaves you for someone hotter. You really hope that the hotter person cheats on him, right? That's kind of what I was hoping for with Mike White, and so I was happy to see him not pan out at Florida. And we talked about it yesterday. It's kind of crazy that Georgia was like, oh, yeah, he didn't work out at Florida, but he'll totally work out here. And I was worried I was going to have to eat crow because they started off pretty solid. But I thought that they fell apart down the stretch. There's no doubt about that.
My favorite part of the Pod to Palace post game last night was when you were like, listen, I was behind the Georgia bench. Mike White ain't it.
That was great.
Pretty good, man.
Like not even simply being like, oh, like, yeah, I could see there was some things like, nah, he ain't it. This is just blanket statement. Hate it.
Ain't it, man. Shout out to Cal though. I mean, he, like Andrew says, he's letting the chalk talk, doing the whiteboard work. I mean, he was in his bag. Yeah. Here's what I will say though, just, talking about the floppy action that drives people nuts, and I get it, but like, just because something's old or, outdated or not modernized, it doesn't mean it can't work. And it has worked in the past. I like where the pieces are better than I did before. I like DJ being the guy who's initiating at the point guard position, as opposed to being the floppy man who's running off of all those pin down screens, baseline to baseline over and over to do what with it. It always never made sense to me. And then it was John L. Davis who was just camped out. Well, now DJ is initiating it, and John L. Davis is running baseline to baseline. I thought he looked better doing that. I realized he didn't make any shots, but he was getting looks. He was a little bit more assertive. I like him as at least a threat, running off those things more. And then it's Carter Knox who's standing there waiting for the driving kicks. And again, I realized that he can't make any shots either, but it just looked better. I like the pieces where they're at better than I did before.
No more floppy man for DJ Wagner. I like that. But no, I mean, I think you're spot on. Like, and look, I kind of dispelled the whole Boogie's out of the lineup. Arkansas's offense is magically good now, but there were a lot of good looks. Like I felt like Arkansas didn't have an issue creating looks. Like you said, they just couldn't make the looks most of the time.
All right. Hold on a second. Is this actually like BJ Young, the former Razorback BJ Young in our chat right now? BJ Young YouTube. BJ Young says, Hogs. I know you mean Hogs. Get to 6-6 in conference by game 12, 5-1 the next game, 6 games, and we make the tournament. Book it. Okay.
Hey, listen, if you said it, I'll take it to the bank.
Yep.
I will.
That's awesome. I watched a lot of BJ Young in St. Louis, man. A lot of BJ Young.
Yeah, y'all got the St. Louis connection going on. Yeah,
we might not have known it, but we do.
I was a young buck when BJ Young was at Arkansas cooking, and he was one of my like early favorite hoop hogs. Loved watching him. I remember him busting UConn's ass when he was a freshman, and that's when I knew he was a dog. But I'll take his word for it. I mean, look, Arkansas's got some. You know, the Oklahoma game is going to be pretty. You know, we would assume they'll be favored by a decent amount in that game. Then you get a week to prep for Kentucky. They win that Kentucky game, you're at 3-5. You know, you can have the conversation, but it's going to get this stretch right here. Once you beat Oklahoma, we'll have a week to celebrate. It's nut dropping time. It's time to really lock in and take down some gorillas. Like I said yesterday, you have to beat some big boys if you want to make the tournament. And you know, can they do it? Sure. Will they do it? We'll see. We won't find out for a couple of weeks, so we can talk our shit now.
You look at that. You look at the schedule coming up, and you've got like the home game with Oklahoma next, and then the back end of this, I think it's like the 5-game stretch. You get LSU, the run back at home. Like those are both obviously must wins. And then that at Kentucky, at Bama, or at Kentucky, at Texas, then home Bama. What can you do there? You know, to me, I'm like, get one, and then when you get on the other side of that A&M Auburn road trip, you've got a fairly favorable home stretch and everything, where maybe you can get some stuff done there. But yeah, if they were somehow able to get 2 out of 3, then we'd really be back in business. But it ain't gonna be easy, man. I'll tell you what's not gonna happen. They're not gonna be able to shoot 30% from the field and 13% from 3 and beat Kentucky or Texas or Bama.
True.
I know they did some really good things, the free throw line, offensive rebounds and stuff, but you know, you got to make shots, man. So
yeah. And I don't think what was Arkansas down by the most 16, I believe, something
15,
like that.
16. Yeah. They were down. I know 15 in the second half, at least.
15,
it might have been more than that earlier, but
if you're down 15 to Bama or Kentucky, I don't see you coming back. So yeah, just don't do those things. But also, just a real quick shout out to BJ Young, again, former Razorback. Real quick story about BJ Young. I was in the student section, front row during those years, and he had a lot of cool games. Like that game against Missouri at home, I'll never forget it. He had the back-to-back and ones when Arkansas was down late to win the game. Crazy stuff. But I had my little megaphone, and I always wanted to get Razorback gear from them because, you know, whatever it is. And they had a towel, a Gatorade towel. And I yelled at him, I was like, hey, give me one of those towels. And he signals across. This is during a game. Like he says, he's on the bench and he hands the towel. He's like, this? I said, yeah, I want that. Oh, after the game, he comes over, he hands it to me. He's like, don't tell anybody. I wasn't supposed to get you this. I got in trouble. So just take it. And I was like, all right, cool. And it's a Gatorade towel and it had number 11 on it for him because that was his number. And then I started thinking, why do they have certain like towels for certain players? Like what? I thought it'd just be throw you a towel or whatever. That was the first time I was like, all right, something unique. Okay. But anyways, random BJ Young story.
I like that, man. I watched him play a ton in high school. And that's when I was recruiting still for Lindenwood. I obviously was not recruiting him, but you know, like maybe his sixth man or whatever over there. But I remember watching him versus Bradley Beal. And it was a huge deal there in St. Louis. It might have been on like ESPN or something. The game might have been nationally televised, but those dudes had some wars, man. Fun to watch.
Who knows where you and BJ's careers would have gone if you could have convinced BJ to go to Lindenwood, you know? Hey, BJ, I know you got all the offers, but I'm telling you, we got a plan for you. We got a group of guys here at Lindenwood that can take you to the next level. Maybe Curtis would be coaching the Razorbacks right now if he had been able to land BJ Young. Just couldn't close the deal.
If I could do it all over again.
If it was the NIL era, you know, they could have done it.
Yeah. Where was your bad guy? Who's the bad guy at Lindenwood? Was it you?
Oh man, our bad guy was like putting $300 on a gift card so a kid could take a online summer class to get eligible and come play.
Oh, jeez, man. Yeah, again, we appreciate everybody chiming in. We'll get to more of your chats too. I'm curious about this. Speaking of BJ Young and being clutch, but also just wanted to talk about our Alumni Hall question of the day presented by Alumni Hall. Shop them online at insidearkansas.com/Alumni Hall, the ultimate Razorback shopping experience. We're going to be there live tomorrow starting at noon at 3417 North College Avenue. So come hang out. Get you some geared up for the gymnastics meet and also the Razorback basketball game coming out. They're going to have baseball apparel coming in here soon too. So come hang out with us. Again, it's Alumni Hall, the ultimate Razorback shopping experience. If you have a final shot to take for the Razorback basketball team right now, who do you want to take it? And I simply gave two choices, Adu Thiero or someone else. Like that's just what it is. Because I started looking at other options. I'm like, man, nobody's going to pick these guys. So I'll just take the field. Well, the very accurate Twitter poll says at 80% or at 79%, Adu Thiero. Now, when I said someone else, not many people gave their names, but I'd be curious. Actually, no, I'd say that. I take that back. One did. They said Big Z. So there's that. But yeah, Adu Thiero. So considering last night and everything else, Adu Thiero, like if Arkansas is against Oklahoma, game on the line, they got the ball in their hands, final shot, everybody wants Adu Thiero to take it?
I don't know actually if that's where I'm at. I mean, what does that mean? If you can get him the shot, then sure. But putting the ball in his hands and saying create it, I don't know. I guess I don't really have a better option. I mean, he just have to get downhill and maybe get a foul call or whatever. But yeah, I guess I don't have a better option. But I don't know, man.
I have a better option for you, and it's what Arkansas did last night. Have DJ Wagner missed a shot and Adu Thiero rebounded. Whoever's taking the shot, take it with about 8 seconds left, so there's time for some rebounding, time for some getting fouled. But seriously, though, and I know this is going to be like a hot take, everybody's going to freak out. For that kind of reason, where like Adu Thiero, great player, Arkansas's best player, not necessarily the offensive creation is what you love out of him. Give him that chance to make a game-changing play on the boards. Nelly Davis, who has more experience taking these kind of shots, who has more experience as a scorer in college basketball. Obviously at FAU is a little bit different, but I think Nelly Davis he's a bad shot maker. And a lot of times at the end of games, you're taking a bad shot. Like it's just a game. Everyone knows who's taking, you're dribbling it down. There's 8 seconds left in the game. Everyone kind of knows you're shooting. You kind of just need to hit that pull up jumper, whatever it is. I'm okay with Nelly Davis taking the shot, and we'll see if Adu Thiero can make a play on the boards and give him a chance. And I will say, everybody that said Big Z sarcastically might have made the biggest. I mean, he kind of got the lid off the basket, hitting that three at the end of the first half. And at the end of the first half, they kind of drew up something to get Big Z a look from three. He also missed a wide open three down the stretch, which I'm sure a lot of people remember. But I actually don't think Big Z is like the worst option here, especially because you could definitely get an open look with a guy that's 7'2" that, can space the floor. Like, I actually think he would be in my top 3 to 4 options.
Well, it depends on how we're trying to answer this question. It's like, who do you want taking the last shot, or who do you want to have the ball in their hands? Because those are two very different answers. If it's who needs to have the ball in their hands, then I think I am on board 100% with the Nelly Davis thing. Boogie's gone. You don't have anybody who can really create their own. He's the closest that you have. DJ kind of can, but his that jumper, and I know Nelly's not making a lot of them, but like you said, he does have a track record for it. He has been a super high usage rate player in the past, and has been to a Final Four. So like, if there's somebody who could do that, they lost, and he did a really stupid thing in the NCAA tournament last year, if you remember that Northwestern game. But whose hands was the ball in? Yeah. And there's a reason why Dusty May put it there, right? So like it's not always going to work out, but I think he would be that guy. But if it was who's going to get the last shot, it would be drawing something up and getting Thiero to his spot and then taking it.
I like this comment from David where he just says DJ and Adu Thiero do a really good job of getting downhill. And that's pretty much what the premise of that. When Arkansas was in this exact situation last night, it was DJ getting downhill. I don't think he got all the way to the rim, but he took a shot from 10 to 12. That's probably realistically what they would do. I kind of think it played out about how it needed to play out. I mean, obviously it worked for Arkansas, but I was okay with the premise of DJ just driving, putting his head down and driving. But I agree, if you're looking for like the step back jumper or whatever, definitely don't think Adu or DJ are the guy.
If you need 3, then it has to be Nelly.
Yeah.
Or
Big Z for that matter. Like drawing up, not obviously,
obviously
not drawing up a ISO for Big C, but I mean like a kind of the look that they got him that was wide open down the stretch.
Well, and it was funny because when you brought up the DJ Wagner thing, Andrew, it's like just missing the shot or whatever. I was like, that's that Mike Anderson special, man. Just have Kai Madden or Anton Beard miss the shot, and then let Michael Qualls or Bobby Portis get the rebound and stick back. That's the best game-winning play there was out there.
It gave off big Anton Beard vibes.
Yep, it sure did.
Off balance.
Yeah, no more of those, please. No more of those.
I cannot believe they won that game 6 of 28 between those two guards.
Dude, like imagine being told that before the game. These guys are going to go 6 for 28 and you're going to win. You're like, no chance. 0 chance that happens. And Arkansas is going to shoot as a team. Arkansas is going to shoot 31% from the field and 13% from the 3-point line. 0 chance they win. Ugh. If you're a Georgia fan, which I know there's not many of them basketball wise, but God, I'd be so pissed off if that was like a game where, you're sitting at 2-3 in conference play. You have a big win already against Kentucky and you lose a game on the road, mind you, to a team that shot 31% from the field and 13% from 3. Just brutal.
I mean, that's one that when they look back at their season, they're going to circle it and be like, holy cow, that was, I mean, literally they're going to end up being a like fringe tournament team, probably on the outside looking in. If I had to guess, that's one that literally is going to change a good bit. Now, not to mention like, they're probably going to end up in that 7-11, 6-12, 8-10 type of conference record. You just don't get a better opportunity to get a road win, potentially a quad 1 win. Like that's one that's going to haunt them for a while.
All right, let's go ahead and jump into your Davis and Garrett, your Arkansas update presented by Davis and Garrett Insurance, your independent auto owners insurance agency, securing what matters the most. A few little clips that we'll play from last night dealing with the win. First, we'll start with the final play. Duthiero. This one it's just funny to watch, but also, man, what a bad beat. Horrible beat for those that had Georgia at plus 1.5, or Georgia at plus 1.5. Yeah, so it was bad, but check this out. Sounds good.
I don't know what's worse. Georgia on that, like it's either he makes it and you take it out, or like you have to get the rebound and get rid of that thing to just be so casual like they were right there. That's definitely worse. But I do remember one time a little bit earlier in the game when Arkansas had 4 guys in on the free throw and Georgia just had 1, and Arkansas got a lane violation.
Yeah,
it's like you have 1 guy to box out. Like, what is going on?
It was Thero, I'm pretty sure.
I think so. Yeah.
So, guys, I kind of forgot. A lot of times I do this where I place a bet and I completely forget about it. Specifically when it's Arkansas Razorbacks, because once the game starts, I'm not thinking about my bet. Usually, every other game I am, but for Arkansas, I'm not really thinking about my bet. So the spread ended up 1.5, depending on where you were betting it. I actually bet on an alternate spread. 2.5 of Arkansas minus 2.5, and I got it like plus 110 or whatever. Completely forgot about it because obviously the missed free throw was going to be big for the 1 or 2. That was the only possible scenario where my bet hit, where Arkansas wins by 3. I can't believe it happened, and in the moment it didn't even really hit me. Where I'm like, oh my god, that was my bet. It was like an hour later when I checked my account. I was like, oh, completely forgot I did that.
Well, see, I had something similar too. Shout out to my boy Forrest, because when Arkansas cut the lead to 12, and they're kind of coming on a little comeback there, I went ahead and bet Arkansas money line at plus 400 on Bet Saracen. Nailed it. So I didn't bet the spread, thankfully, but yeah, bet the money line and got that. So I'm probably done for the week because that's about as good as it's going to get for me. But still, all right. So a couple more clips here. Here's Cal in a speech after the game that in no way, shape, or form mimics the same stuff he said in the press conference to the media either.
It's the second largest deficit in this building to come back and win. in the history. This building's 35 years old. Think about that. Everyone here helped us. Did anybody hurt us? No. That's how this is going to be. Every guy's got to come in here with an idea that they're going to help us. Let's write a ridiculous story. We just had to win one. We just had to win one. Free throw, M1. I have been blessed. So what I'm going through is going to make me a better coach. What you're going through is going to make you a better player. We're going to do this. I'm telling you. If I got to drag you over hot coals, you just keep us in the game and let me drag you over the finish line. Okay? Okay? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, coach. Yes,
Boys,
coach.
they didn't watch the press
Clear out.
conference.
Clear me out in ISO. I got this, boys. I got this. Just trust me, and I got you.
I
Just
love
dapping
that.
Thero up every 12 seconds. I love that.
But you know what? A lot of smiles in there.
Hmm?
A lot of smiles in there. That was good to see. Was so that's the second largest deficit period or halftime deficit?
I think halftime, because they were
Okay.
down by 12 at half. I just can't imagine there's that many halftime deficits
Yeah.
that they've overcome. Because I think they've overcome
15
more than a
total.
15-point lead before.
I was thinking about Auburn 2021, where they just got down like crazy and had that wild comeback to win that game, and it was kind of the turning point for them that year.
That game was in that range. It was in that 10 to 12, maybe 13 range. Maybe that was the other.
But it wasn't
largest-
halftime. It was like first half. They were down by like 18 or something stupid. But yeah, I don't remember a bunch of halftime games where they were down by a ton.
Well,
Came back.
yeah, because I was trying to remember. There was a game against Alabama in 2006 that Arkansas was down 18 and came back and won, but it wasn't at halftime. They were down 18 in the second half. They were down 13 at halftime. So still a large margin. But yeah, I trust Cal. I just wonder who whispered that into his ear. You know, was it our guy K Wood? So, hey, coach, by the way,
He didn't know.
No, it was definitely not
like
K-Wood.
Hog Stats put it out or something. And yeah.
But by the way, so that Auburn game I was just talking about, they trailed by exactly 12 at halftime, and I think you're right. They were down by much more than that at one point in the first half. They were down 43-31 and then outscored Auburn 44-30 in the second half. This game was kind of similar. And if you remember, that year's team, they had beaten Auburn at Auburn a couple weeks before, but they had gone through a really tough stretch. That win kind of launched them a little bit. That was one of those, you just got to dig deep and find a way to get it done at home, and they found a way to get it done. They go to the Elite Eight. This team's clearly headed to the Final Four. Book it.
Of course. I pulled up that box score, Andrew, just that game, that Auburn game. And yeah, you were right. They were down a dozen at halftime. They were down 19 with 4 minutes to go in the first half. Came back and won that one.
So that was a huge stretch at the end of the first half to kind of make it competitive, similar to Big Z hitting a three because they were down 15 literally with 8 seconds left. Big Z hits the three and you're like, okay, that'll give you a little bit of a boost, and, worked out.
Jimmy Dykes was on it.
He was.
That could be a big play later in this game.
Yeah, thanks.
It's like 3-point shots are just big plays. Can we just agree on that?
Yeah. Becky says, love that they FaceTime Boogie as soon as they got to the locker room. He wanted to be there. Well, fun fact, here is them FaceTiming Boogie Fland.
Boogie, they played this game for you, Boogie.
So there you go. That was awesome. I love it too. Good stuff.
Good for Boogie, man. And I'm glad he's coming back to do his rehab and everything at Arkansas. So who knows when he comes back home? I know he got surgery done back home, but maybe he'll be there Saturday for the game.
I'm hoping so. That'd be cool to have him. And the seeing that and then the celebration for it. And I mean, maybe I'm assuming too much, but I assume that Boogie was probably pretty bummed that he couldn't be there, even if he's rehabbing and all that, just to be the part of the celebration in person. I'm sure he wanted to be there, but yeah, it was good to see. And I know you guys talked about Pot at the Palace last night and everything. Bad day for all the Boogie Flan haters out there that were trying to say, he was pulling a Nick Smith, which is also unfair to Nick Smith too. So I hate when people say that, but say, he jumping ship. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about the team. He's just focusing on himself in the NBA. Bad day for that. Real bad day for that, because it kept coming out and out more and more that nope, you were wrong. You're an idiot. Don't even think that. So
I wish he was pulling a Nick Smith. That way he could rehab and get back for the, for the stretch run, man. But yeah, that's he tried to gut it out. Wasn't working for him. They need to do the surgery, and it's really unfortunate, but hopefully he bounces back quick, man. And I think we can all agree that this post-surgery, post-win FaceTime with Boogie went better than the post-surgery, post-game FaceTime with Eric Musselman after LSU. Do we agree that?
100%. And I'm sure that had to make Boogie feel really good, having them FaceTime him, having them include him on this. Cause obviously I'm sure he, like you said, he was probably bummed that he couldn't be there. And then the team wins. And I'm sure there's gotta be some FOMO. Every time you guys do a stream without me, I'm like, there's a little bit of FOMO. I wish you'd FaceTime me here and there. Maybe we'll start doing that. But no, I bet that really did make him feel pretty good. And it's like, okay. And for all the people that talk about these guys like they aren't literally human beings, and I'm not trying to be too dramatic here, but like, even if Boogie was a guy who was maybe a little selfish and maybe just all he cared about was his NBA stock, these are still his classmates, the guys he came in with, guys he lives with some of them, guys that he sees every day. You think it doesn't matter at least a little bit? Like maybe it doesn't matter as much as, some guys, maybe some guys care more than others, but like these are still his like friends that he's going to potentially, like we all talk to people that we went to college with still to this day. Like Boogie is going to talk to these guys every day still as well. Like, I mean, it's very crazy that people talk about these guys and throw these narratives out so confidently as if they aren't like living, breathing human beings who like can dispute the story, you know what I mean? Or that we aren't going to like find out the answers. Like it's crazy. Just the way that some of these guys are talked about, like they're like literal hired mercenary robots that don't have any like mental, like understanding or sentient feelings about these things. It's crazy. And it's just cool to see stuff like that. Cause you remember these guys are real human beings. They're kids. The dude's 18 years old. I don't even know if Boogie's 18 yet. Is he? Did he just turn 18?
He is now, but but you're right though. Like not everything has to become some big deep state scandal, or something other than what it is on the surface, which is guy got injured, needed surgery, got it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It can be as simple as that. And my thing is, which, when all that came out about him being out for the season, John Rothstein's thing, like you can think about theories. You can think about, okay, what could this mean? What's the reasoning behind it? Is it true? Whatever. That's fine. But it's like, maybe wait a little bit until a little bit of the more of the story comes out, because I can understand if people started feeling that way about Boogie and looking at a negative light. If it was 2 weeks down the road and we hadn't heard anything, we hadn't seen from him or anything like that. But I'm like, you're talking about the day it happens, everyone just, he's out. It's because he's selfish and doesn't want to be a part of it, and he's focusing on himself. I'm like, that's just dumb. That's just dumb to just assume that. Again, if you can theorize it, okay, but don't just take that stance of 100%. Yeah, he's bouncing out. He doesn't care. That's very dumb. It's a very dumb thing to do.
I'm glad y'all brought up Nick Smith. And again, for all the same reasons of we talk about these guys like they're not real people, like they aren't, experiencing this and aren't living and dying with all these moments. I mean, you guys saw Nick Smith in the locker. You see how much he cared about being on that team and what it meant to him. But also quit telling the Nick Smith story inaccurately.
Yes.
Everybody always cites they always say, oh, he's pulling a Nick Smith when a guy doesn't play. Nick Smith came back and played, and he didn't play well. Nick Smith hurt his draft stock. He made a sacrifice. I mean, not an intentional one. He came back and hurt his draft stock because he was trying to get back as quick as possible and help the team in any way he could. And he wound up not helping the team as much as he wanted, as much as some people expected. And it ended up like that. If you want to tell the Nick Smith story, you could mention all that, but don't cite Nick Smith as a guy who quit on the Razorbacks. He absolutely did not do that. Like, just objectively, that's not how the story played out. And clearly Boogie did not quit on the Razorbacks either. So quit with all that BS just to fit your own stupid ass narratives.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. Exactly right. Also, another thing, because I know we're going to move on. This is part of the Arkansas update, but just what do you guys think when you see this?
Handsome devil right there, man. Yep. Looks dialed in. Love the uniform. Love the uniform. Love to see the headshot. And that's a man who did not call John Calipari because Calipari was not worthy of the phone call at the time. Maybe now he'll get a phone call, but at the time, DVH, I saw somebody pull up a chat earlier. Someone had a chat and it was like, oh yeah, it was witty. He said DVH doesn't have time for losers. Didn't give Calipari pregame, which I love.
Jeez. I just think like when you brought that up too, I was like, maybe there's still some animosity from when Dave waved to him by when he got ejected, just like in the stands, and Dave got asked about it, and he's like, stretching my arm, like just having some fun with it. But yeah, I saw that picture. I'm like, first off, like, yeah, it's a good uniform and all that, but man, like maybe scale back the lighting a little bit. I mean, come on now, it's like
bright.
It's very bright for him. So, also, Arkansas finished 14th in the Directors Cup. Anything to that? Nope.
There you go.
Yeah, whatever. It's like that. That's the first Hunter Yurchek tweet that has not started with good luck or congrats. He just tweeted out that with no context. And everyone, the replies are like, "Don't think this kid makes you get away with being awful, you piece of trash." It's like it's funny. Sometimes social media can be really good, but yeah, people are upset. So yeah, 14th, great, awesome, good stuff. All right, so we'll continue on a little bit, and I'll tell you what, we'll play a little fun here. Speaking of sports betting and all that good stuff, let's go ahead do a little bit of what's more likely here on the Inside Arkansas Live, presented by Bet Saracen. The Bet Saracen app, the #1 sports betting app in the state of Arkansas, not even close. It is the place to get all of your winnings, and to get winning, you can do it on your iPhone or on your Android by downloading the app, or you can check them out at betsaracen.com. All right, just a few more here, which I know people will bring up and probably get into the chats of wanting us to answer these, but these are just a few random ones. How about this? What's more likely, that Arkansas will win the rest of their home games in basketball, or win their next 3 road games in basketball? Which, by the way, for those wanting to know what the road games are, you got a team called Kentucky that is coming up. That's a big one. Also, Texas on the road. And then I believe now I've got to pull it up because it's not doing it. But the next road game after that would be, I don't think
A&M or Auburn.
Okay, this is what I hate ESPN. I'm sorry. It pulled up the women's basketball schedule for me, and I'm like, that's not correct. Whatever that is not right. So, but yes, I believe that is the case here. I should have actually.
The answer is the rest of the home games.
Yeah,
it's definitely the rest of the home games. Just because I don't think I can. I mean, as good as last night was, I don't think I can reasonably, confidently say Arkansas is going to win 3 straight road games against anybody. I mean, even if they were Vanderbilt, South Carolina, and LSU, I don't know if I could do that. The rest of the home games, Bama's a very hard, obviously that's the one. If you're thinking about the rest of the home games, that's the one you got to talk yourself into. But like, if they do beat Bama, they might be favored in every other home game.
Yeah. Well, maybe we should put it this way. About 3 road games in general. Do you think it's more likely that they win all their home games, or 3 road
that
games?
They could do. Because they still go to South Carolina, winnable. To Vanderbilt, winnable, and none of those are easy games. We're just saying, if you look at that, where else do they go? At Texas and
Auburn.
Yeah, Auburn and God, those are going to be tough though. But
I think they could win 3. I mean, you beat South Carolina, beat Vanderbilt, and then of those other 3, you just take one. Arkansas could win 3 of the, but I don't know if they'll win 3 in a row though.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that Mississippi State game at the end of the year still is one I keep forgetting about. I'm going like, yeah, that's
a home game.
Yeah, it's a home game. So
they've come back down to earth a lot. I mean, they're still really, really good, but like they're through non-conference. It was like, my God, they're beating everybody by 40, and like some good teams, man. But they look like a Chris Jan's basketball team now, which is very, very solid, but not a bunch of Superman out there.
Well, shout out to Jason because he DM'd me this one this morning. So I just wanted to ask, he's like, what's more likely, Razorback basketball to win more SEC games, or the Ladybacks to win more SEC games?
I mean, let's
come on now.
No disrespect. No disrespect. And look, I'm not super confident that the men's team is going to like crush it down the stretch, but it's definitely the men's team. Come on.
Yeah.
And I assume so too, but I just wanted to make sure we were all on the same page on that front. This was also another one that was submitted. So a couple of good ones. This has to do with baseball. What's more likely, Razorback baseball to win every SEC series again, or win the College World Series?
College World Series.
I agree.
Just looking at the SEC schedule, man, especially with the way they finish, the last 5 series are freaking. That's brutal. A gauntlet.
Yeah.
Like that. If they won all of those series, it would be arguably more. I mean, it wouldn't be more impressive, but it's like you could argue it's like statistically like just harder to do than to win a College World Series, because you have to win 3 straight weekends, but you get a couple easy ones mixed in there. winning 5 straight series that they finished with is tough. And then obviously the first 5 before that, I don't think anybody in the SEC is winning every series. And I do think one SEC team is going to win the College World Series. So I think winning the College World Series is the one, and I think it's going to happen. So suck it.
I actually agree too, because that's what's fascinating is, what's happened more often, a team winning a World Series or a team going undefeated in SEC series. Yeah. Well, World Series is definitely there, but
I mean, I think Tennessee got like swept by Missouri or something stupid like that last year, like something crazy. Like Tennessee lost multiple series, A&M lost multiple series, and both of those teams were the 2 teams standing. Like, I think that kind of speaks to it.
All right, so this one's kind of more of a fun one. What's more likely, the Hogs to make the NCAA tournament this year, or Jeff Goodman to say something complimentary of John Calipari?
He may have said something complimentary about John Calipari this morning. I haven't listened to the interview
hinted
yet.
At it with his tweet last night.
Yeah. I think who'd he go on? Did he go on air with Ty and Tommy this morning? I think I need to go listen to it. He might have already done it.
Yeah, well, he panders when he goes on those airwaves. Let's be honest. Like, he ain't coming on there to do the things that he does.
That might be your answer. I don't know how I feel about the NCAA tournament odds still. So
I'm still not quite to the 50% or above range.
Yeah, like Goodman getting put in a position where he has to say something nice, despite him being an asshole a lot. That seems more likely to me.
I mean, we've been there where we make fun of a specific person and then they do something cool, and we kind of have to give a courtesy just because we've been talking about them. Like, oh, well, yeah, good for them. Good for Mike Neighbors or whatever it is, So I think that Goodman can kind of give a half-assed, not apology, but just a half-assed good job for Cal.
12.7% tourney odds at Torvik for Arkansas right now.
The Andrew Ellis FPI has it at 32%. So take that for what it's worth.
Yeah, I go with the Andrew Ellis FPI. That's much more accurate, much more proven.
Dude, did y'all know, as of right now, according to Rothstein, he tweeted, I think it was FanDuel that he was citing, if you bet on Vanderbilt to not make the NCAA tournament, plus 200 right now. For Vanderbilt to not make the tournament. And I know they've been pretty competitive. They're also to a nice start. They're just saying no way Vandy's making the SEC tournament or the NCAA tournament, right?
I mean, I wouldn't bank on it, but I mean, I don't know. It's so still early for me, which I know it's kind of a cop-out answer, but still was. Most teams have 12 games of the SEC slate left. So,
yeah.
I mean, there's just a lot that can happen in that stretch. But actually, here's a fun one just randomly off the top. I just had someone tweet it at me. What's more likely, the Razorbacks to make the NCAA tournament or Razorback football to go 8-4?
NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
Isn't that sad, but true? It is.
It would take an act of God for Arkansas to go 8-4 in football, given the current construction.
I love these questions because it's so dumb, but they're fun to talk about. Yeah, all right. So we'll get into what to watch here in a little bit too, and start talking that. A few chats though. Blind Squirrel Sports, who of course residential Georgia fan, taps in. He says, "What advice would y'all give to Georgia fans who take the umbrage with officiating of last night's game? The refs didn't beat Georgia, Arkansas did, and my Dogs didn't help their cause with turnovers and missed free throws."
I would say you get that benefit on your home floor, very, very much so. And so welcome to life on the road in the SEC. But I feel you now. Like there were some moments there where I was like, oh wow, like Arkansas might be getting the benefit of some calls, but then there were some that they didn't, man. And I just think SEC officiating is going to be terribly inconsistent and honestly not great no matter where you're at. Sometimes it works out in your favor, sometimes it doesn't. But I do think Georgia's got the opportunity to be a tournament team. Like I think they could scrap their way out if they hold serve at home, and they've been a tough out in their own building, man. Asa Newell's really good, and I think those guards are better than they played last night. But they got to figure it out on the road. Obviously, some struggles there.
Yeah, I feel like each team could pull up 5 different clips and could be like, see, this is BS. Ultimately, I feel like, look, you can maybe I won't argue too hard if anybody wants to make the argument that the officiating leaned toward Arkansas. I could also see an argument for it leaning toward Georgia. Like, I think it was probably really what it was you had 2 bad teams. The stats were about even. really Arkansas actually shot worse. They just rebounded more of their misses. But like I feel like it kind of played out how it needed to play out. Arkansas made more free throws down the stretch. Both teams got the benefit of some weird calls, a lot of calls. I feel like it was about how it needed to play out.
Well, and I'll say this, and I mean this as a compliment, Curtis. If Curtis tweets out something about bad call or bad officiating, then I know that there's legitimacy there. If I tweet it out, that means nothing because I'm just mad and I need to blame somebody. But it's like if Curtis actually goes out on Twitter and says, yeah, that's a bad call, or hey, this is bad officiating, I'm like, all right, that's when you know it's legit. It's like you and Tommy Kraft, the ultimate like defender of officiating. If one of you two come out and say, it's a bad call, then I'm like, okay, then it really must be a bad call.
I'll never defend it. I think I just expect it. So I don't really, unless it's egregious, man, I really don't get on it too much. There were two last night that made me really mad. The one where Samto Surreal just does like the most angry drop step in the history of basketball. And Thero's just walled up straight up. And they called that a foul. That really got under my skin. And then the one late where Newell pushed Thero off, and then him and Z were double teaming. He went up and got the weak little call on Z. That one was not in that moment. I didn't like that one.
Okay, Curtis, that Cyril play that you're talking about, where it was Thero was straight up. The pass that went to Cyril, the guard dribbles into the paint. I don't remember who it was. He dribbles into the paint, and then he kind of keeps his pivot foot. He stands there for close to 3 seconds because I was kind of looking. I was like, it's gonna be a 3-second call. He slides his pivot foot out of the paint and then a couple seconds later makes the pass. So it's like, all right, you don't get the 3-second call, but you got to get the travel because he slid his foot out of the paint and then he makes the pass. And then you end up getting a weird foul call. And I know Georgia got called for a double dribble, which it was just a point blank. Guy picked up the ball and started dribbling again. There was the Cyril got called for the travel. I felt like Georgia's guards were really loose. And they had the horrible pass to that Nelly Davis ended up stealing. Like they just were very crazy, with like whether it was their pivot foot, whether it was their passes, whether it was whatever. Like it was just very sloppy. And so I think that when you have a sloppy game like this on both sides, that's how you get the 49 foul calls. And when you get 49 fouls, I don't know if either fan base really gets to complain too much.
Yeah, no. People do the like the Arkansas doesn't have a point guard thing, and now they really don't. But Georgia does not have a point guard. And that's one thing that costs them in games like this, where you got to try to close one out or execute down the stretch. And they don't really have that guy. They got some nice guards. I think those guys are good basketball players, but I don't really see a point guard in that mix there.
Yeah. Even the play that you were referring to, Curtis, with the Big Z and, being straight up there and kind of collapsing in or whatever. Hunter Johnson, that jerk, that Alabama troll basketball guy, even on Twitter, tweeted at me, even though I have him muted, I believe. But he was like, that was a bad call. I was like, man, so if these guys are saying this is a bad call, it must have been pretty awful. But and here's the deal. It's like, I'm not saying that all 49 foul calls were bad calls, but come on. Nobody wants to watch a basketball game that has 49 fouls. And then they had some mix-ups where like they thought that Kane was supposed to foul out there for Georgia, but then they tried to fix it where, no, he only has 4. There was some confusion there. Just a lot of problems with keeping up, but 49 fouls will do it.
Can we just real quickly talk about something that happened at the end of the game? It's not necessarily a huge surprise to see Arkansas subbing offense for defense with Jonas Adu and Big Z, but subbing Big Z in for the defensive possessions was wild. And I'm not even saying it was the wrong thing to do given the circumstances, but never in a million years would I have said at the beginning of the year, like, yeah, late in games, they're going to have to get Adu off the floor and get Big Z in there for defense. And they did at one point there in the final minute. And I was like, oh my God.
I wonder if it's because, Arkansas finished the game like we were talking about last night. Carter Knox had the only block. I wonder if it was just a simple, like, we need someone to protect the rim.
Yeah.
And Big Z, by the way, this was the worst rim protection performance Big Z's had as a Hog, I would say, which is funny because this is like, most of the games that he plays, it's like the rim protection's good. Everything else is what you're worried about. I thought he struggled. He was getting big boyed a little bit down low, but I think it was just as simple as like, we need someone to block some shots at the rim, and Big Z can't do that. So let's just roll with him.
I was thinking if it was more just the threat of it, just being like, hey, not to say that he is that, but Georgia has a 7'4" guy standing down there. Like maybe that makes them think a little bit differently on how they approach it. Maybe, I don't know, but yeah, that was
they
definitely
weren't thinking that when they were posting his ass up every possession. And
nah, they weren't worried about
golly, man.
Oh,
That
yeah.
dude, and it wasn't even the 5-star kid, man. It was RJ Godfrey, who's like my height. And but they posted him up on Adu right away, bucket. Posted him up twice on Big Z to start the second half, bucket.
I was gonna say, yeah, Adu struggled defensively as well. I mean, it really honestly just wasn't a great Adu night, but yeah, it's kind of weird that in a game where Arkansas out rebounded and out physical a team, their front court, which has had some nice moments here lately, really struggled defensively.
It was interesting, yeah.
And also just the fact that the guy's name for Georgia's name is Blue Kane, like the color blue. Kane. All right.
And she was beside himself on press row.
Because of the name?
He was busting ass in the first half, though.
Yeah, and right as the game was starting, he was like, if this is the game where Blue Kane goes for 18 points on 6 of 8 threes, I'm going to lose it. I might actually lose it up here. And then right away, bang, bang. Every time he'd make a shot, I'd just look over at him.
Blue Kane, man. Name to remember there. All right, let's go ahead and jump into also your SEC update presented by Rhoback. Go to Rhoback.com, get all the great apparel that they have, whether it's Razorback apparel or just performance apparel, and use that promo code HOGSBY20 for 20% off your very first purchase at Rhoback.com. SEC basketball was pretty interesting last night, obviously for Arkansas, but the stat that was getting thrown around, which is wild, that Georgia, Ole Miss, and South Carolina, 3 teams that lost last night, all 3 of those teams led for 119 minutes out of 120 minutes of the combined games. Like all 3 of those teams were leading in that one. Arkansas and Georgia was a crazy one, but the Ole Miss A&M, wild, as Ole Miss misses a free throw, and then I guess up by 2, Texas A&M gets it, goes down the court, hits a 3, not at the buzzer, but pretty close to it. And then Florida comes down from 14 points deficit and wins in South Carolina.
Man, if you thought Georgia crumbled down the stretch, South Carolina against Florida, that was rough stuff, man. Florida had no business winning that game.
I don't see a way back for Lamont Paris and his boys.
Tough times.
Yeah, they're now the because they have 1 win, right? In SEC
South Carolina?
They do.
No.
So they are the
Did you see Daniel C's graphic?
That's right. Oklahoma beat South Carolina to get their 1 win in SEC play. That's what it was. Okay, so yeah.
By the way, Oklahoma, did y'all know Oklahoma is number 50 as of today in net?
Sounds about right.
I mean, it is kind of, obviously, like they got off to a really strong start, but it's like you would think a team that's 1-5. I mean, Arkansas's in the 50 range too, but it's like technically Arkansas could get a top 50 win this weekend. It just doesn't feel like that, but I mean, that's kind of where we're at. It'll take a while for all the metrics to even out a little bit.
Yeah, they need that though, to really build that resume for the tournament. Got to get those wins, those top 50 wins, whatever it takes.
Those precious SEC top 50 wins, those quad 1 wins.
Yeah, they definitely need it. So, but yeah, only 3 games last night, which I was a little surprised by. I know that it wasn't surprising as in that was what was scheduled, but I feel like Wednesday nights usually bode pretty well for having quite a few games on a Wednesday night, but just 3 of them. And so as of right now, where it stands, for those of you interested in the SEC standings, Auburn's still undefeated at 5-0, leading the way. Alabama's at 5-1, and then you have quite a few teams with only 2 losses: Florida, Tennessee, Missouri, A&M, Kentucky, Ole Miss, all with only 2 losses. You got Mississippi State, Vanderbilt at 3-3, Georgia, Texas at 2-4, Oklahoma, LSU, Arkansas at 1-4 or 1-5 if you're Arkansas, and then 0-6 for South Carolina. So there you have it. That's the SEC standings. Got a long ways to go, but as Curtis said, 11th in the SEC is still in play.
Just yeah. Sunday, we're gonna be buzzing.
I think I said it jokingly. I was like, Arkansas could be a top 12 SEC team by this time next week, and they actually could.
It's on the table, man.
Yep.
It is on the table.
I just cannot wait for when Arkansas beats Oklahoma on Saturday. I'm gonna tweet out and be like, "We won Kentucky, man." I'm gonna keep doing it. I'm gonna keep saying it. It's gonna be fun, and I'm sure I won't get trolled and get yelled at all. But just when sorry, Ryan says, "Is the win classified by what they are when you play them, or where they finish in the net?"
It's where they finish, which stinks because Georgia's a quad 1 win right now, and it won't be by the end of the year.
That Miami win is also just going to continue to deteriorate. It's going to get worse and worse. But yeah, you kind of have to check it out every now. You like, for instance, I think Arkansas right now is 2-7 in quad one games or something like that. But yeah, it'll fluctuate throughout the year. And some of your wins, you got to just hope they age well, hope they hold serve a little bit. But that's what I think is very interesting because there's so many SEC teams that got off to a like better than expected start. And I think there's a lot of them that are going to kind of taper off a little bit. And so we'll see where everyone ends up. But in the SEC, the good thing is you have no shortage of opportunities to pick up some of those real resume wins.
Also, I just want to give a shout out to Leah Ann Robinson. She says, wow, congrats on winning your first SEC game this season. Now act like you have some sense and don't start trying to talk smack about Kentucky again, or I will put the juju back on you. Oh, was your juju on, everyone?
Yeah, she caught off the dogs for last night's game. Caught off the dogs, Georgia Bulldogs. But yeah, I guess we're getting some witchcraft threats.
Well, if that's her picture, I mean, she does. I could see the witchcraft coming in play. I could see her wearing a pointy hat.
Did we say anything bad about Kentucky today?
I mean, other than just what I said of having some fun of if I'm going to say we want Kentucky, that's about it. But
yeah,
how dare you
we
acknowledge the possibility?
I know.
The hell is wrong with you?
I know. Listen, it's y'all are so easy. Like I can just say that, and you guys come after me.
We can literally just say we would like to see the Arkansas Razorbacks beat the Kentucky Wildcats in a basketball game, and like
what?
that alone, they're like, "What? Why would you want that? It'll never happen. Shut up."
Yeah. Hope is crazy.
Yeah, it's like know your place. You know you're going to lose, and if you say anything otherwise, that means you're hating on on the Kentucky Wildcats.
Delusional.
Golly. It's just so funny now. It's gotten to the point to where I'm just going to keep saying stuff just to get y'all riled up because for whatever reason y'all take it so seriously. I mean, I know you guys saw in Pot at the Palace. I had Kentucky fans on my tweets that were just like ripping Arkansas, like, "Oh, congrats! Oh yeah, hang the banners." It's like y'all care so much, and then they're like, "Well, Kentucky didn't play tonight, so what were we supposed to do? We got to watch basketball.
Go to church."
Yeah, exactly. Go to church maybe on a Wednesday night. Do something a little bit more productive.
We highlighted a lot of the nice ones, the sane ones.
Oh yeah.
Who hopped in there and they're like, "Hey, good for you guys."
Mm-hmm. There's not many of them, but I'm going to be honest, just because of what my DMs and everything looked like, even the nice ones, I sit there, I'm like, I don't know if I trust you. I don't know. Where's the catch here? What's going to happen here?
Well, because Arkansas is not a threat right now. So it's a little bit easier to be nice when they're not a threat. But if Arkansas beats Oklahoma, the Razorback fan base is going to get very confident.
Oh, yeah.
Very quickly. Like, it won't take them long. So once you start getting some chirping from Hog fans, kind of like, oh, maybe we'll beat Kentucky. That's when I think all that niceness will run out.
We will catch a lot of strays that our fan base creates if Arkansas wins Saturday for sure. And you know what? Sure. Bring it on, man.
Yep.
Part of the fun.
Those Kentucky fans are going to get real scared if Arkansas is entering in Rupp on a 2-0 win streak. I'm just telling you. I guess they're going to start getting nervous because what if it happens? So it's going to be fun, though. Yeah, it's crazy. A week from today, we'll be literally in Lexington at the KS Bar doing this show. A week from today. So be really fun. We're really looking forward to that. All right. And since it is a Thursday, we like to have some fun with this too. And we always appreciate one of our newer sponsors here on the show. Of course, it's Bryant Technologies. It's dedicated to delivering high quality network infrastructure and security camera solutions. And they take pride in the exceptional workmanship and commitment to keeping your business operations seamlessly connected and secure, whether it's structured cabling, security camera installation, digital signage, TV mounting, whatever it is. Bryant Technology is going to have you covered where they entire not only the whole state of Arkansas, but the bordering states of Arkansas. So they have a huge footprint around the area. So have Bryant Technologies help you out with your network and security needs. You can give them a call today at 870-883-0330, or you can check out their website at bryantstechnologies.com. That's a little S in there, bryantstechnology.com. It's Bryant Technologies, quality work guaranteed. All right, what to watch? I was thinking about it, guys. Like, there's not really a whole lot of sporting events going on tonight, unless I'm just missing something. I mean, Thursday night's not big for college basketball. The NFL playoffs are getting into the championships, so those games are this week. And college football is over. So, I don't know. Is there any sporting events that you guys are going to be watching tonight in general?
Sporting events that I'm watching? No. Not tonight.
Just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing something that was actually going on.
I'm not going to watch the games, but I'm definitely going to live bet some hockey unders. Like, no doubt about that. Maybe sprinkle a few NBA player props. Dude, I went 4-0 on hockey over unders the other night.
Let's go, man.
Did not watch a single one of the games. Just went with my gut. It says, I don't know what that says about me, that I'm better at betting sports that I don't watch.
I think it shows that you have a good intuition. When you just go with your gut instead of trying to overthink and overanalyze.
The powers that be are on my side.
That's right. You're like the person in the office that just does an NCAA tournament bracket challenge and wins, who's never watched a single college basketball game. They just do it by which mascot would kill the other mascot. Like, it's that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I tell you what, so we had some fun with it last Thursday, talking about sports movies and everything, and ones that we've watched. I still don't think Ellis has watched for Varsity Blues, but that's fine. One day it will happen. But I was going through this is according to The Athletic, so it's a sports thing. But I was going through, they had the top 10 sports movies of all times. And I just wanted to see how many of you guys of these top 10 have watched, or maybe it should be easier, haven't watched. And then, because I kind of want to see, where everyone stands and how it goes. Now, we're not going to sit here and debate about which these movies are ranked or anything like that. Because again, it's just an opinion. Who cares? But this is what they said. We'll start with number 10. Number 10 is Major League. All right, we know that. We've all watched that. We talked about it last week. Number 9, When We Were Kings. Have y'all seen that?
I don't even know what that is.
It's a documentary. They're including documentaries into this. Maybe I shouldn't have done that one, but
What's it about?
It's about when George Foreman went up against Muhammad Ali.
Okay.
1974.
I could see that being good. I did not heard of it. No.
Yeah, it came out in 1996, but it's highly rated apparently. Because another one that they have is like OJ Made in America, which
that is a very good documentary. That's a very good sports documentary for sure.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So yeah, we'll just do actual like movies here. There's a movie called Breaking Away. Have y'all heard of that?
Never heard of it.
It's a working class Indiana teen obsessed with the Italian cycling team vies for affections of a college girl while searching for life goals in his friends.
This is a top 10.
I'm glad. This is why I'm bringing it up, because I'm like, I don't know about this, because number 6, they actually have The Big Lebowski as a sports movie.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of reminds me, when you call that a sports movie, it kind of reminds me of like, you have rom-coms, but then there's also movies that are like funny movies that have romance. Like Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Is that a rom-com? It's romantic and it has comedy, but it's really a comedy movie that has romance. There's a lot of like Benchwarmers. I don't know if that's a sports movie, but it's a funny movie that has some sports in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like the Die Hard Christmas movie like argument that people always bring up. It's kind of the same thing. Miracle, though. Have y'all seen Miracle?
Yes.
It's been a long time, but yes, I've seen it. Hockey?
Yes.
That's
great
good.
movie.
That's really good.
Bull Durham.
Classic.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Okay. We've all seen that one, too. Okay. How about Raging Bull?
I have seen it, but it was when I was a kid, and I don't remember. I didn't like it when I was a kid. I know that.
Refresh my memory.
It's the one that has Robert De Niro in it. It's directed by Martin Scorsese. Came out in 1980. The life boxer of Jake LaMotta, whose violence and temper led him to top of the ring, but it destroyed his life on the outside. It's a it's a Scorsese movie, so I mean, it's really good, and it's got like all the Scorsese actors in it. But it was one of his first. It wasn't his first movie, but one of his first. But it was really good. So, but yeah, if you haven't seen that one, it's good. Rocky's number 1. We've all seen Rocky, right?
See, that's crazy because Rocky is like the 4th best Rocky movie. Like Rocky 3 and Rocky 4 are objectively the 2 best, I would say. Unless you're counting the Creed movies and stuff, because I love the Creed movies. But like Rocky 1, I feel like is not even I don't even know if it's a top 3 Rocky movie.
See, I thought Rocky 2 was better than Rocky 1, but I didn't think Rocky 3 was. It was fine, but
Rocky 3 smacks. What are you talking about, Mr. T?
Yeah.
What's your prediction for the fight? Pain. What do you got? Mickey dies? Come on. Rocky 3 is great. Rocky 4 is really good, and it's like very rewatchable because it's like an hour and 20 minutes, and there's just a bunch of music numbers. Like there's just music play. It's basically like a long music video. He goes to Russia and all that. I think Rocky 4 is probably my favorite, but I think Rocky 3, you get to see Rocky lose. Like I really like Rocky 3.
No love for Rocky 5, where Tommy
No.
the Gun Morrison is getting trained.
No, Rocky. No love for Rocky 5. Rocky Balboa is not that bad though.
Rocky Balboa I really liked. It came in like an 06 or something. I actually did like that because it was
Nothing's gonna hit harder than life, guys.
That's right.
It's not how hard. It's not about how hard you get hit. It's about how hard you can get it.
Such a wordsmith, you know.
Uh-huh. Well, also, I just love the guy he went up against with his name being Mason the Line Dixon. So that was a great.
That's
great
a
name.
WWE name right there. That's a WWE name. We're talking about Georgia Peach. That's a WWE. Mason Dixon is a good WWE name.
It's a great one. Caddyshack. Y'all have all seen Caddyshack?
Yes.
Love Caddyshack.
Caddyshack
Great
is very
one.
solid.
Great one. Hoosiers. You have all seen that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, I'm just trying
Overrated
to get.
Hoosiers. I will say I like it. Overrated though.
Oh, come on, man. Gene Hackman.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
okay.
It's fun fact. If I'm at least I'm pretty sure this is true because I read it once. The guy who directed Rudy directed Hoosiers, and those are like the only 2 movies he's ever directed in his life. Those 2 movies. It's like maybe you should do more sports movies, man. Like maybe
Give us a baseball. I mean, if you're going to do football,
Yeah, I
baseball,
mean, come on, guy.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and fun fact, he was actually originally tied to direct the movie Greater, the Brandon Burlsworth movie. So
which is good, by the way.
yeah, and real quick about Greater. I had zero expectation going into that movie. I'm like, this is going to be the just biggest bunch of cheese I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I was pleasantly surprised, and actually, like, it's not the best sports movie of all time, but it was good. Like, it was well done. It had the humor hit. It wasn't just a bunch of cheese, and especially with the low budget, and had some not saying like big time actors, but some people that were pretty well known.
Our guy Grant Cook, not to be confused with the catcher Grant Cook, the other Arkansas Grant Cook.
Yes, Grant Cook, and it's funny too. I think they went and just got a bunch of Quentin Tarantino actors. Because the guy that played Brandon Burlsworth's dad is in like every Quentin Tarantino movie. The guy that played Danny Ford, the former Razorback coach, was MC Gainey, who played in a few Quentin Tarantino movies. So I was like, maybe there's some sort of connection there. Not really sure. So, all right, a few more here because I'm going to try to find one that's like, everyone's like, how could you guys not seen this? Have you guys seen Bad News Bears, the original?
Of course.
I haven't seen the original.
Okay.
I've seen the like 2004 version or whatever. Have not seen the original. And I never will.
04 version was all right because Billy Bob Thornton was in it. But
Yeah.
the original one is the OG. It's great. It's one of those that they made like 3 sequels and none of them were good. So, yeah. What about A League of Their Own?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen it.
Okay.
Hey, it's pretty good.
I actually like it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Field of Dreams, we've all seen.
Mhm.
Yeah.
This one's a big one, though. White Men Can't Jump. Have y'all seen it?
Absolutely.
Okay. Just want to make sure because my friends hadn't.
I've not seen the Jack Harlow version that came out a couple years ago.
I'm not going to.
No,
I have seen Woody Harrelson, yes.
Yeah.
no, I'm not going to see it. All right.
It's a
This is
great,
considered-
great film.
It's
I mean,
outstanding.
yeah.
Outstanding. Especially when I guess when Woody Harrelson's character's first like introduced to all of them, and the trash talk that's going on is pretty funny. The Karate Kid, the original one, is considered a sports movie. You've seen it, right?
Yeah, it's a sports movie for
That
sure.
counts
It's
for sure,
good.
yeah.
It's one of my favorites. I don't know why, but it's just one of my favorite movies. For just random reasons.
Have you guys done Cobra Kai?
Yes.
I've done the first couple, maybe the first 3 seasons. They kind of lost me at some point. I don't know when. I really enjoyed a little bit of Cobra Kai.
I'm getting ready to start something new, I guess, on Netflix, and that was on the recommendations.
If you watched, did you watch all 3 original Karate Kid movies?
I've anything outside of Cobra Kai that has come out.
I'll say this, Curtis. It's even if you haven't seen them in a while, because I watched all of them when I was a kid, and I was kind of like, when I started Cobra Kai, I was nervous about it because I was like, I don't know if I remember it well enough. They do a good job of kind of reminding you, and little flashback here, oh, hey, there's this reference. That's the coach from we don't like. Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
It's pretty good stuff.
It's about as good as you could make something like that. Like, they don't take it so seriously, but they have fun with it. It's really good, especially the first like 2 or 3 seasons are really good.
Yeah.
I really enjoy it.
Eric Musselman loved it. Like, that was his escape from basketball. It's Cobra Kai.
I could see it. I could see Musk being a Cobra Kai, like literally in Cobra Kai. He'd be that type of guy. Was it strike first, strike hard, no mercy?
Yeah.
I think is their name.
That's the bad guys. That's what they say.
That's right. A few more here. All right, Jerry Maguire. Have you all seen that?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes. Okay.
Show me the money.
Mhm. What about The Fighter, which was a really good movie?
The what?
I did see it. That's
The
where
Fighter.
Christian Bale plays a crackhead. He's like 130 pounds.
Yeah, Mark
Mark
Wahlberg.
Wahlberg.
Yeah.
Rachel
Really
McAdams, I think.
Or Amy Adams.
Amy Adams. Okay, yeah.
Think I know what you're talking about. I think I've seen it, but I might not sit down and like pay
Plays,
attention. all the way through.
Mark Wahlberg is playing Mickey Ward. Is that the guy's
Okay,
name?
no, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure I've watched this, and I've watched everything Mark Wahlberg. He's one of my favorites. So
Yeah.
I just don't
What-
remember a whole lot about it. I guess
All right. Cinderella Man. Have y'all seen that?
Yeah.
I've not
Yeah.
seen that one.
It's a really good one.
I like Cinderella Man.
Like I said, I also kept hoping to think that we find one that all three of us have not seen. So what about the movie Rush?
Rush.
It's the one it's recent, actually, 2013. It's about the Formula One racers. It has Chris Hemsworth in it.
I haven't
I've
seen
not
that.
seen it. No.
I haven't seen it either. So maybe that's one of them that we can at least chalk up, but I don't know. Seabiscuit. How about that one?
Seabiscuit.
I
Yeah,
have seen it.
Okay. Yeah. Again,
used
they
to
kept
watch
trying
it
to.
on the bus to road games all the time.
Yeah. This list had
Motivation.
Rudy.
When I saw, by the way, so Whitty just brought up Southpaw. When I said Rachel McAdams, I was thinking of this.
That's what it
and
was.
obviously I have seen The Fighter as well. I actually like Southpaw better than The Fighter. Not that I think either are like that great, but Rachel McAdams and Southpaw had it going on for those that know. I know Whitty knows. Rachel McAdams had it going on. I'm just saying.
Okay, this will probably be the final one because I want to throw this one out. I have seen this one, but almost everyone I've ever asked about this has not seen it. And I think maybe we've discussed it, and maybe you've seen it, Curtis, but Blue Chips. Have y'all seen that movie?
Oh yeah, that's Shaq, right?
Yeah, Shaq was in it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like Andrew, I know we talk about art. Like that is actually a really good movie because it was ahead of its time. Came out in 94. Nick Nolte plays a head coach at, I think it's Washington or whatever. He's college basketball.
Coach Bell.
And it completely talks about the buying of players and as a head coach who's just trying to coach basketball, how he has to deal with all the politics and the stuff. It has Shaq and I believe Penny Hardaway.
I was gonna say, yeah, Shaq and Penny were both in it.
You can't have a paying players movie without Penny Hardaway.
Yeah, it had him and like it had some real coaches. Like he could play Bob Knight in Indiana in one of the scenes and all that. And then it kind of explodes at the. But anyways, really good movie, Blue Chips. If you haven't seen it,
yeah, that's a fun one.
Yeah, it was a good one there too. All right, so yeah, we'll have to figure some stuff out because we're gonna be in Lexington. I'm sure we'll be having a good old time, hitting the town. But we've made that a tradition as AKA like once
Movie a night.
Yeah, we do a movie a night when we all go on a travel. And because we went to Birmingham, it was Top Gun Maverick and Avengers, right? Infinity War.
Infinity War. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So,
I have a suggestion, by the way.
Okay.
Can I just pitch this? So we're going to be in Lexington next week, obviously, and we might do this movie night thing. I think the movie we should watch should be The Dark Knight. But for us to watch Dark Knight, I think we all three need to between now and then need to watch Batman Begins to set the stage, and then we can all come together and watch The Dark Knight. They're both on HBO Max.
Done.
Okay.
Fine.
And Batman Begins does not get the love it deserves, frankly. The Dark Knight is obviously, it's maybe the best comic book movie ever, so it obviously gets all the pub and all the love and all the rewatches. Batman Begins is one of the best Batman. It's probably the best Batman origin movie I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, it is. It is really good. Like you said, it doesn't get the love it does, but or it deserves. But yeah, I'll say this since we're talking about it and we're wrapping up shop. We've mailed it in. The Dark Knight and that scene in the interrogation room is still one of the most intense like scenes of cinema I've ever watched, especially like in theaters. I did the midnight showing in IMAX because I was so pumped for that movie.
Were you at the one that got shot up?
No, Andrew, I was not there.
Not in Aurora.
Jeez.
On that night.
Golly.
Sorry. I thought I had to ask.
No, I was not there. But it was like that scene was about as intense. And also the one, which I've seen it so many times. I don't know if y'all remember this exact one, but when he's filming the little guy that's the Batman dress up.
On the news?
Yeah, on the news. And he just like,
dude.
yeah, when he just tells him to look at him and then he yells, "Look at me." Oh my gosh, dude. Gets me every time. Heath Ledger, R.I.P.
Everyone that worked on that movie, they all say like the first time they saw Heath Ledger come out in his stuff, like they were like, we're acting, but like it's horrifying, especially if you're not seeing him behind scenes. Cause a lot of times they would kind of hide him on set to where people weren't seeing him before they hit action. It's like when he comes to that, he crashes that party. Everyone's like looking around. It's like real reactions. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's really good stuff there. So, but yeah, we'll have to do that maybe. Yeah, watch Dark Knight. Hopefully, the Airbnb that we are staying at has access to.
We can cast it. We can figure out a way.
Yeah. We'll
plug in a laptop, HDMI, whatever we got to do.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. So yeah, we'll have to have some fun with that. A few things real quick before we wrap up here. Speaking of movies and everything, Robert Pattinson in Batman. Apparently, he's a huge fan of Jackass and he wants to play Steve-O in a biopic.
I saw this.
It's a choice.
Robert Pattinson at Steve-O. I don't know. And also why, like, I'm sure, I don't know. If I was Steve-O, I'd be like, yeah, absolutely. Get Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, sure, I'd take one of the best actors in the world playing me. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah,
I love this because again, Robert Pattinson is, I mean, he's becoming one of my favorite actors, but he takes himself seriously. You know, he doesn't do a bunch of like silly roles, although he did do Twilight. But he's like, you know, one of the more prestigious actors in the world. Him playing Steve-O would be so funny for that reason, where it'd be like, it'd just be cool to see him kind of let loose.
Yeah, it'd be weird. But also some other like quick ones. I hate baseball Hall of Fame crap, but Ichiro was not a unanimous Hall of Famer because he missed it by one vote. One vote. Like who could possibly not?
There's always one,
Ichiro?
Except for Mariano Rivera. There's always that one, because I think it was Ken Griffey, same thing. There was one vote. I think there's been a couple that were like 2 votes off.
I don't get it. Like how do you just sit there and be like, not this year, Ichiro.
Yeah, not sure about this one.
Need more slugging. Need more X whip or whatever. X FIP. Need the VORP.
Yeah, just awful stuff. And then finally, I just want to play this little quick clip because it makes me laugh. The AFC, NFC title games are this weekend. Bills offensive tackle Spencer Brown has a very simple and direct plan on what he's going to do if he wins or if he loses this weekend.
Entertain any ideas or thoughts about what it would be like to win? And
it's either going to be super celebration party or me in a 24-pack by myself. So that was the two ends of the spectrum.
24-pack if he loses.
It's basically how I feel about Saturday's game, boys.
Yeah.
Also, just looking at him and looking at the offensive lineman, I think that 24-pack's getting drank either way. Like, I'm just going to be honest with you. Like, I mean, also, it's like if you're celebrating, oh, yeah, I don't want to drink a 24-pack now that I'm celebrating. Like, come on.
Yeah. It's this thing is if win or losing, it's either going inside of your body or if it's going all over your body because you're spraying it everywhere in celebration. So
he looks like a Busch Light man.
Yeah, I could see it. Or if he's just like one of those weirdos that's just like, yeah, I like a good Corona Light. It's like, okay. Like, I've only known one person that's like, yeah, I love me some Corona Lights. That's my beer of choice. Okay.
I might have one on Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah. It's like
Dos Equis.
Yeah. Golly. Or like Land Sharks. Like, sheesh. Yeah. Some people got their own thing. That's for sure.
Pacificos. That was Scotty's thing, man.
Yes.
Pacificos.
Yeah. I can only, like you said, it's like Cinco de Mayo is the only time that those really come into play. But, some people like them no matter what. But, all right, guys. Well, that's for us. Any final thoughts before we roll out of here for the day?
Yes. I won't be here tomorrow. You guys know that, but just so everybody else knows, got some family stuff that I got to attend to down south. So I'm dipping out after this. But you guys have fun over at Alumni Hall. Wish I could be there, and I'll be back Saturday for the game, but I got a long road trip ahead of me, and I'm looking forward to tuning in to today's episode of the Bombastic with Andrew Ellis and Andrew Hutchinson, it seems. So it should be a banger. I'm excited for that. It's a long drive. I got to have something to listen to, and Bombastic's at the top of the playlist. So
I like that. Well, I hope you have safe travels. And I got to be honest, Curtis, we're always crammed for space when we're at Alumni Hall. So I think getting rid of our biggest lad probably isn't the worst.
Big dude out of there.
Yeah, we will miss you, and we hope you have safe travels and best of luck on your trek. And woo damn pig. It's good to be back in the win column. Don't let this team get hot. That's all I'm going to say. Just don't let them get hot.
Please don't. I can't handle that.
Please do not.
Yeah. Please don't get hot. I should have asked the poll question: who's the better Andrew between Ellis and Hutch, just to see what the voters would say. But
it's funny. I said this on the show. Neither of us call each other Andrew. I call him Hutch. He calls me Ellis.
Yeah.
And I don't think either of y'all call either of us Andrew either. I don't know. Maybe y'all do call me Andrew a little bit, but
I don't know. I guess it depends on the
John
context.
calls you Andrew, I feel like, quite a bit.
yeah.
Yeah. It's more of just like, it just depends on, how I'm feeling or
Depends
the
on what kind of
context.
vibes I'm bringing that day. Sometimes I bring Andrew, sometimes I'm Pierce, sometimes I'm, different edges. You never know.
Yeah. It's all the same. So
You would definitely pierce in the heart of Bob Holt, man.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Always be Pierce. And was it Wayne? No, what is your real name or first name? Curtis.
Pierce Andrew Wells Ellis is the full name.
You're
That's
Pierce
right.
Andrew Wells Ellis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a big Steven guy.
Steven, that's it.
Yeah.
Steven. Yeah.
Steve Wilkerson.
Just
I
John.
learned that when Curtis Cash at me one time, and it was Steven Wilkerson. I was like,
Yeah.
That guy.
Yeah. And it was still weird too, like with you two, and then also Scotty has, different.
he's Gregory.
Yeah,
Greg.
Gregory. Like, I never knew this about everybody. But
We all went to lunch together one time, and it was like your name is whatever's on your credit card or whatever, and it was like Greg, Steven, Pierce. We're like, do we even know each other?
Yeah. Yeah, it's really shocking stuff. So, but hey, everybody, appreciate you listening and watching into Inside Arkansas Live. Be sure to subscribe to us here on YouTube, as well as checking out all of our great podcast content wherever podcasts are found, whether it's Inside Arkansas Live or the Bombastic Podcast or Pod at the Palace. You can find it there. You can also check out our website, InsideArkansas.com, for all the latest and greatest up-to-date information on all things Razorbacks, as well as our social media at Inside Arkansas. So for Andrew Ellis, as well as Curtis Wilkerson, I'm John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel. Tomorrow at Alumni Hall there in Fayetteville. Have a great rest of your afternoon, everybody, and we'll see you then.